Well, good morning. How are you all today? And welcome to Integrative Preparedness. I am Steve Smith. If you don't know me, if you're new, welcome to you. Special welcome to those of you who have joined us on Patreon. You found that you get a lot more over there than you do on YouTube, but you get a lot here on YouTube as well, right? So today I want to talk about something particularly serious, and that is the call from the left for blood and violence in the streets. And it's something that you need to be aware of and take very, very seriously. Grab a cup of something that you drink in the morning. Let me take a sip, and then I have a special announcement. A special announcement. Look what I have here in my hands. For those of you who are new, you'll understand this in a minute. Yes, we just got the new shipment of the Stonemont series, all of the books, and I will be spending the rest of the day signing and having those boxed up and sent out to the people who have been waiting the longest. If you're not familiar with me, I'm Steve Smith. I'm the author of the Stonemont series, the series they call the best series for preparing for, surviving, and rebuilding after a total collapse of everything. And you can get them a couple of different ways. You can get them through Amazon. If you haven't read this and you're serious about preparing, I suggest you make this the very next thing you do. You can get them through Amazon, the link's down below, or you can get them a better way, and that's from me. And you can do that through our website, stonemont.us. And if you do them through me, then I sign each one for you. I write a note in each one for you. We're able to give you a discount if you buy the whole series. You can't do that on Amazon because we save money on the shipping and packaging and handling and all that, right? And we pass that on to you. Plus, I throw in the Stonemont notebook, which you're gonna love. Everybody loves it. It's a place to write down all your thoughts, all your preps, all your plans, the things that you learn from these books, and you will learn more than you can imagine out of these books. I just had somebody tell me they have finished reading the whole series a 5th time for a couple of reasons. There's so much information in there. It's a great story. It's so many lessons wrapped up in a great story you won't even realize that you're learning. But it's also a world that you would prefer to live in, to the one you live in today. And I've had many people over the years. The first one came out, well, I should tell you what they are: the reversion, the revival, the renewal, and appeal to heaven, the blessings of freedom, hostages to fortune, and the latest one, on wings like eagles. And yes, I am writing on the 8th one right now. And those who are on with us on the Patreon channel, and you can join us there, that link's down below, have seen the cover of both that and my other book. I won't tell you about the other book right now, but those on Patreon know all about it. So people have told me, people who have been involved in preparedness for years and years and years, have said that they have learned so much from these. It's so many things they never even thought of, because I go into such detail. But like I say, it's an exciting, it's a great book. You'll be lost in the story. You'll love the characters. You'll fall in love with some of the characters. And if you want those, get them through me. If you want them signed, get them through me at the stonemont.us website. Now, a warning on this: if you get them from me, you have to wait a little bit. You have to be willing to be patient, because we are still running a little over a month behind on our order fulfillment. That's why I was so excited to get these in today, and that's because we've had so many orders. Over the last 2 months, we have just been snowed under with orders. That's great. I'm glad of that, but it's difficult from our end to keep up with that. And so we've done a couple of things that I think will help on that as we whittle down our waiting list. And that is, I think some of the problem in the past was that we would put in these big orders and it would take the printer a long time to get them to us. I'm not sure why. Just, the world, the way it is. But now we're putting in smaller orders for weekly deliveries. And I think that's going to help a lot. And hopefully we'll get caught up here in the next, 3 or 4 weeks, so that we're not so far behind. But if you want them and you're willing to wait a little bit, get them from me, stonemont.us. And I love it when you do that, because I love my relationship with my readers, just like I do with my viewers. And that's that. I had somebody ask yesterday, kind of snarky, which I delete snarky and I ban them because there's no reason to be snarky, right? It says, well, you're making videos or selling books. Well, I'm both. I'm a writer. I'm not really a YouTube guy. I'm a writer. That's the only reason that I started the YouTube channel, was to talk about the things that I write about, right? And that's where, you know, you'll get so much more out of the books. I could make videos for 10 years and never cover everything that I've already discussed and covered in detail in my book. So that is that. Let's get to the subject of the day. I don't have to tell you that the world is a dangerous place, right? Well, it's becoming more dangerous all the time, and I think we covered this. I covered this before the election, and I said if Trump wins, it's going to become more physically dangerous than before, because the right doesn't rise up. They don't engage in violence against their opponents. The left does, and that's because they view their opponents not as opponents but as enemies, and they view their enemies as evil, and they excuse anything in order to promote their communist ideas. Okay, so I just want to read you the first paragraph of the headline of a couple of articles here, and then we'll talk about it. The Department of Homeland Security, who wrote this? This is a Breitbart article, is it? Bob Price wrote this. I think this came out yesterday because that's what made me want to talk about it today. The Department of Homeland Security reported that a San Antonio City Council candidate called for the shooting of ICE agents in the streets of Los Angeles. The threat by the self-described Democrat political consultant comes as ICE agents are increasingly assaulted, and Border Patrol station in Texas came under attack from a gunman. Okay, interesting. That shows you that this is not localized. It shows you this is a national effort. This is a San Antonio City Council candidate, you know, but he is calling for. Let me see if I can get this guy's name, because it would be good to know his name, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it? Because he needs to make Matthew Guana. Isn't that the word for batshit? I think so, right? So Matthew Batshit, who is the San Antonio City Council District 1 candidate. Oh man, I seen his picture here and he looks like a batshit. Okay, I will put that up I'll put the link to that up on the Patreon channel when I put this. For those of you who may not know, every time I cover things like this on YouTube, I also put the video over on Patreon, and then I put links to the stories from which I take information, and that lets you see the source material. So if you want to send it to that's a couple of things here. If you want to send it to your friends and people who need to be made aware of this stuff, you can. Or at least you can have the source material yourself. So when you say something like this, and the people that you share it with say, well, where'd you get that? You'll say, well, here's where I got it. Okay, and that's always good to always be armed, never be unarmed. And I'm going to talk about your need to be armed in here just a minute. Okay, the next thing comes from Fox News by Anders Hagstrom. Dem lawmakers say their voters are threatening blood and violence over inability to hinder Trump. Okay, let's see. Democratic lawmakers say their voters are enraged at the lack of ability to counter President Donald Trump's agenda, with some saying they could resort to violence. Okay, that's Axios reported Monday. The outlet says it spoke to over 24 House Democrats to measure the temperature of the Democratic base. What it found was red-hot anger and a burgeoning desire to circumvent the rule of law. Revolution, anyone? Were explanations that Democrats, poorly written, that Democrats simply don't hold enough power in Washington fall on deaf ears. Okay, I guess that was all right. We've got people who are desperately wanting us to do something, no matter what we say. They want more, said Representative Brad Schneider, a Democrat of Illinois. Of course he was. I almost said a Republican. No, he's a Democrat. Okay, I'm not a Republican, by the way. I'm an independent. Too many Republicans have disappointed me. Most of the lawmakers spoke on condition of anonymity. Yeah, I guess. Schneider's office did not immediately respond to a request for a comment from Fox News Digital. Our own base is telling us that what we're doing is not good enough, that there needs to be blood to grab the attention of the press and the public, one such lawmaker said. Another said their constituents are convinced that civility isn't working and that they should prepare for violence to fight to protect our democracy. A third lawmaker described some of the messages from people online as crazy, saying that some told them to storm the White House and stuff like that. Okay, I'll put that up on the Patreon. I'll put the link on the Patreon channel too. Okay, that brings us back to what we should do about it. First, we need to accept that there are people like this in the world, and I think that in on the right and even in the preparedness world, there is this propensity to just kind of dismiss it and say, "Oh man, can you believe how crazy those people are?" That would be a big mistake. Do not dismiss this. Do not say, can you believe how crazy those people are? Do you happen to remember the Summer of Love? Do you happen to remember all the cities burning? Do you happen to remember the riots that were based on the lies of, which one was that? George Floyd. Do you happen to remember all of the rioting and all the violence that was promoted by certain groups over lies about, who were they? Not before George Floyd, Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, total lies, essentially aimed at the black community and liberal whites. Okay, it doesn't have to be true to get these people going. As a matter of fact, they don't like to deal in truth. Okay, they couldn't care less. What they want to deal in is their hatred for us, for people who think differently than they do. They have a hatred for America. They have a hatred for what America should stand for. They have a hatred for all of us who are living and promote traditional lifestyles, because they're all sick. Okay, and it's from this hatred that comes this craziness. Now, when these people are calling for blood in the streets and violence, take them seriously. So what should you do in response to that? Okay, first off, don't be where these things can flash, and they can flash in a second. I've told you many, many times. I remember I lived through the riots in Kansas City in 1968, the race riots, and things will flash like immediately. You can be caught kind of behind the lines without knowing it. You're working and you're at work, and maybe you work in the city or even certain areas of the suburbs, and all of a sudden these things erupt, and guess what? They erupt between you and home. Okay, so and other people just go down to those areas to shop or whatever. I would advise you to avoid those places. Stay out of those places. In the modern day, the suburbs offer everything that the cities used to offer. And the reason that they do is because people got sick and tired of living with the filth and the craziness of the cities. And so all of the buildings, all of the grocery stores, all of the movie theaters, all of the restaurants and bars and everything else in the world, all the nail salons, moved out into the suburbs. So, from where I live, I don't have to go more than a half a mile to get pretty much anything I want. I bet I could go a month and never go a half a mile beyond my house. And the thing is, it's perfectly safe. Why? Because we have good people here, and we have aggressive law enforcement. Now, aggressive law enforcement doesn't mean that they violate people's constitutional rights. It means that they enforce the law, and there's enough of them to do it. Okay. You people that live in small towns, you probably don't have to worry about. You don't have a lot of law enforcement if you had a problem, but you probably don't have to worry about the problem. So that's almost as good as, that's even better, right, than having the people to handle it. It's always better to avoid a problem than deal with it, even dealing with it successfully. So I would suggest you stay out of those areas if you can. Just don't go there. Okay. If you can't, if you work, I have good friends of mine who are corporate lawyers, and they work downtown. Their offices are still downtown. Well, they do a lot of work from home now. That after COVID, a lot of people started working from home, and they found that it worked out well. So a lot of them do, but still they have to go downtown, or they have to go to Midtown, and different areas of the city where these things can happen. So for those of you who are in that situation, I would suggest, have everything that you need in your office. If you need to stay in your office for 3 days, have everything you need in your office. A couple of cases of water, a week's worth of food, your defense tool, all of those things. Stay in good communications with the rest of your family or your friends who live outside the war zone, okay? And if it looks a little dicey, if it looks a little iffy, when you're getting ready to leave and I see smoke and I see fire and I hear rioting and I hear, hey, stay put, stay in your office. Wait until sunrise, when they're all tired and sleepy, and they go home because being cockroaches, they like the dark. When the sun comes up, they all go home. So just wait it out. Go home. Even if you don't live in or work in a city, if you work in the suburbs, these things can also happen, and they usually don't happen in small towns, but they can happen in the suburbs. It depends on, if you go around Kansas City, for instance, and it's pretty much the same as any city, you have a couple of really nice suburbs, and that's where I live. And then you have other suburbs that aren't that nice. Just because they're not in the city, they are full of people who moved out of the city, and they raise the same kind of hell, right? So where you live matters. I told the story, I'll tell it again quickly. During the George Floyd riots, a group of BLM came out, and they asked for a permit to do a little walk, a little parade, a little demonstration or something here in the city where I live. And the city gave them their permit, and then they met them. The police met them out there, and they said, okay, now here's where you can do. You can start here. You can walk down 3 blocks. You can carry your signs. You can't scream at cars, and you have to stay on the sidewalk, and everything will be cool. And then the police set up, right? And they watched them. And so they started their little sign waving, chanting, and everything like that. But there was a couple of professional instigators in that group. And once they got to the end of where they were supposed to stop, they didn't stop. And they kept going, right? And they started going into a neighborhood. Well, did our police stand down? Heck no. Our police were on them like, I could use would it be racist if I said white on rice? They were on them, and I mean, they were on them right now. And they said, come here, you're going to jail. And the people who started mouthing off to him got face planted in the street and taken to the calaboose. And it didn't happen again. So it matters where you live. But you can't count on that everywhere. Take seriously when these people say that they want blood and they want violence. And this is not a new script for them, right? You remember, what's that crazy woman from, the crazy black woman from California, Maxine Waters, right? Years ago, you see a Trump supporter, you get in their face, you wherever you are, the gas station, the grocery, I don't know. Nuts, man. These people are nuts. Now, another thing that I might say is take off anything off of your vehicle that might identify you as conservative or a real American, as we call it, right? Take that stuff off. Don't wear your MAGA hat. Don't wear it. This is in the interest of safety, and you being hit over the head and put into a coma for the rest of your life because you wore a MAGA hat. I know that you wanted to promote, your position, but it's not worth your kids not having a father or a mother for the rest of your life, right? Okay, so be smart, and realize that communists, which these people are, they love violence because they don't have any guiding principles except hate for the system in which they don't do very well. Okay, these people don't do very well in the world. You've seen them, right? Blue hair, tattoos all over their faces, piercing everywhere, crazy. These are the foot soldiers of the people behind the movement, but the people behind the movement are very smart, and they will use these lemmings. These are their pawns to carry out, the revolution. So they are dangerous. Don't think they're not dangerous, and don't think, well, I'm always strapped. I'll always get those comments. Stay strapped. Well, first off, well, never mind. I won't get into that. Yes, always be ready. Okay? Always be ready. Always be ready to defend yourself to the max. Okay, let's just put it that way. So I think we're going to see more of this. I have no doubt we're going to see more of this as the summer progresses. They are going to continue, and as they see that certain things are not working for them, they're not going to stop. They're going to escalate, and it will get worse. Okay, so you have to be ready for that, and stay in good communications with your people, with your wife, your husband, your kids, your parents, whatever. Stay in good communications. Here's where I am. Here's where I'm going. Here's where I'm going to be back. Here's how I'm going from where I am to where I'm going. Things like that. Play safe. Okay? All right. That's it. A final reminder, if you haven't read them, this would be the next best thing you could possibly do. Even if you just love a good post-apocalyptic story. In here, it's love stories, it's survival stories, it's horrible stories. I write about cannibals and slavery and everything like that. But I write about how to deal with it too. And if you haven't read them, you would love them. Get them either through Amazon, or if you're willing to wait, and I hope you are. I love it when you do. Get them directly from me through our website, stonemont.us. The link is down below. And then I look forward to, signing each one for you and writing a note in each one for you, and we'll get them out as soon as we can. And now that we're getting weekly deliveries, we should be catching up. Okay. For those of you who have been waiting for a long time, thank you so much. I appreciate your patience, by the way. I really do. When you get them, you're going to love them. And I can't wait to sign them today and get them to you. Okay? All right. You all think about what I said. Have a great day. It's a dangerous world. Realize that it is. Don't let that, bum you out. It's just the way it is. Yeah? It's the way it is. Deal with it. And remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. And I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.